Hi again, my name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And today we're going to be doing my What Sold video, which will be for last week, Monday through Thursday, September 1st to September 4th. And y'all, my sales were really good. Really. And then they've just been awful again. This week has just been awful. And it's like all day I don't get any sales. Literally, it'll be like 3 sales all day, and then I'll luckily get some overnight. But it's just been odd. I noticed that when I'm listing now, when you're putting in your package dimensions, you now have to have the 0.0 is automatically being put on there, which it wasn't like that before. So obviously they're still working on stuff. Yeah. So it is what it is. I'm starting to see a whole lot of those automatic feedbacks. I think that's going to really help those people who don't make a whole lot of sales, and you have to worry about that negative that just kind of seems to come in every once in a while. I think having all of these boosted feedback is going to help a lot of people. But when you sell, for me, the quantity that I sell, I'm starting to see a lot of them. But let me go ahead and share with you. I had 2 Etsy sales, some really nice eBay sales, a lot of high dollar plush and other items. Then we actually had five sales in the new store. I have decided to start moving some items from my store over into the new store. I wasn't going to do it, and then I thought, I might as well. New to You Toys is the name of my store, so it might as well be mostly toys. So I still have like 1,500 items, so it's going to be a long process of getting stuff over. I've been doing like 5 to 10 a day, plus listing new stuff. So all right, let me go ahead and show you what sold. First thing that sold in Etsy was this King James Version Holy Bible with the giant print. Sold for $22.45. And I also sold this Timid Timothy Bear plush. I want to say, though, I paid $3 or $4 for it, thinking, it was something, and it wasn't. So I'm glad I actually, sold it at a little bit of a profit. So, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But let me show you the first thing that sold on September 1st was the seal. That Save Our Space SOS seal from 2003 sold, let's see, I listed it and sold it the same day, $134.95. And this was a bins pickup, so probably $3 or $4 because it was big and heavy-ish. So maybe even $5 for it. And then I sold these American Girl doll clothes. Y'all, these have been listed since 2023. I would have thought they would have sold a while ago. I usually do really well with American Girl stuff. And even though it was kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, it finally sold on an offer for $18. All right, I picked these up at an estate sale. It was one of those type you go and you literally had to dig. It was boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff piled on top of each other. And my friends Lisa and Cindy went with me to this one, and we spent a long time there. Bought quite a bit of stuff. But I found these 2 Lambert Huffman rubber-faced puppets, and they sold on an offer for $25.22.
Is that the same place we went to a yard sale today?
Yes. Went to the same yard. The people who moved into it were now having a yard sale, but their prices were high.
Too high.
Too high. This is a Lauer water baby doll. It was a little bit different than the ones I normally find. Was from 1995, but usually the ones I find are bigger, and they just have painted eyes. They don't have the open and the sleepy eyes. This one took about let's see, 3 months to sell, but it sold at the full price, $49.95. Fisher Price Great Adventures Western Sheriff, you know, he sold after I had already found the Great Adventure Western Town, or I would have ended him and put it with it. But this one ended up selling for $8.96. American Eagle Men's Distressed Jeans sold for $17.71. Jan Lynn Christmas Sock Monkey Kits. I want to say I paid $2 or $3 each. I could be wrong. It could have been $1. I don't remember, but I remember picking up a bunch of these and some other kits. And these 3 ended up selling for $44.95. Kids Preferred Cream Colored Lamb Sheep Plush sold for $31.45. And again, this was probably maybe 3 weeks to sell. All right, I picked these up at a thrift store in Asheville. I paid $1 each. They are Disney Junior Mira and Royal Detective. I don't know that show at all. But I ended up, again, sold in about less than a week for $40.
I think we would do better at selling the more modern Disney stuff if a couple of the boys just went ahead and had kids. And that way we would have grandkids over and we'd be watching these shows with them and we would be much better Disney sellers.
I'm a terrible at the newer, any of the new cartoons, because we don't have, first of all, we don't have TV. Second of all, I don't have a reason to sit and watch cartoons.
I was really expecting that. Heck no, they don't need to be having kids at this point in their life.
Well,
they need to grow up a little bit first.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, true. At some point, there will be more. I've got 4 now, but grandkids. But eventually, phase 2 of my kids will start having kids. All right, Thai Pluffies Purple Rabbit sold for $8.96. Fisher Price, the series was $2.80 Dollhouse. This was, I want to say 70s or 80s maybe. I picked it up unassembled at a yard sale for, I want to say $5. I never intended of putting it together and selling it, you know, completed, but it was missing pieces anyway. And I've been slowly but surely selling them off. This was the balcony and the French door replacement, and it sold for $13.45. Cloud Island, I like that brand. Pretty sure, I think everything I've seen says they are from Target. This was a hedgehog from 2023, sold for $20. Lots, y'all, lots. Now, I had, I think, Snoopy. Well, first it started out like Snoopy. Then I found Lucy. Then I found the other 2. So, you know, it's just was one of those repeat, you know, end it, add somebody, end it. And then I ended up with the 4 of these. Listed it in July, and they sold for $35.95. I'm doing really well with the lots. J. Jill sweatshirt top sold for $24.04. Patooties. This I think was the first one I found. These are the more contemporary ones by Jazzwares. Still sold very, very quickly. Actually, like 2 days for $8.96. Best Made Toys. I like that brand. This was just a cute little puppy dog plush. Listed it again in July, sold for $26.95. Thomas the Train Trackmaster series. It was Thomas and Percy. They are the motorized ones. I had video showing both of them working, and then just a little extra car. Sold for $16.15. Another lot, y'all. I put these all through Whatnot and they didn't sell, so I thought I'm just going to go ahead and put all of them together, make a lot, and they sold in about 4 or 5 days for $24. This is a Juice Man Junior juicer. This is just the little receptacle bin, and it sold for $10.49. We haven't really been picking up any more appliances. I do think I've got something that I need to get to, but I haven't yet. I want to say I picked this up at an estate sale. It is a Smokeador metal ashtray. But it had like orange on the inside, silver on the outside, sold for $15. I'm pretty sure I picked this up at a yard sale when we went out to Peaches to the Beaches. Paid $1 or $2 maybe for it, but I knew it was made well, and the clothing seems to sell pretty good for us when I can find it. We don't find that brand very often. And this purse sold for $45. Lindsay, I found a few pieces that I've picked up. They don't sell for a whole lot. Sometimes it's just based on the cuteness of the plush and knowing that it's just going to sell for bread and butter. This little doll sold for $11.66. Probably not a brand I will continue to pick up unless it's just something very, very unique. This is Poochie dog plush purse. I said I wasn't going to pick these up anymore, and then I've sold several, which this one has been listed for quite a while, but it sold $10.25. Another really nice sale. This is a Commonwealth Jumbo Dalmatian Dog Plush, 32 inches long, sold for $69.95. Goody Toy Green Seal Plush, just had a unique look. Not anything really based on brand, just cute, cartoony, sold for $11.66.
eBay has feedback changes.
They do.
And they're going to, on the good side, we first noticed it in our new store, that it was getting feedback that was kind of generic sounding, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, this transaction was completed. And it's like, there's a bot doing this. And
yeah.
It was tracked and it was delivered. And so then eBay had their eBay open or whatever it was. And they announced that they're doing that. I don't know the timeline on it, but I pack something to you, you get it, you open it up, and after X number of days, if you haven't left feedback in that time, then eBay leaves me a generic. There was a happy transaction, and then within the 30 days, you can go back and update that to whatever you want, or happy,
the buyer, whatever the buyer wants. So it's not set in stone that, they no longer have an opportunity to change it. They can still change it, I think, up to 30 days.
And they could change it to be negative.
Yes, they still can.
That's good. But the downside is that eBay is not going to be removing negative or neutral feedback like they used to, because there was some sort of FCC action that said eBay cannot take away buyer feedback just because we gave them a refund. So that kind of feedback against us is not going to be removed anymore. So I'm going to have difficulty with my lovely wife at not having a fit over neutral and negative feedback that's unfair, that's not getting removed. If we get negative feedback and it's deserved, we will know it and we'll like, yep, we earned that one. But we used to be able to get some of the dumb stuff removed because we would refund or whatever the process we went through, and eBay would get it removed. Well, they're not doing that, or supposedly they're not going to do much of that anymore. So we're going to get stuck with a lot of neutral and negative feedback that's unfair. So just remember that.
Respond and just let it be. In our news store, it's really going to hurt if we get a negative because we've had so few transactions. And I guess eBay is saying to kind of counter that, you're going to start getting feedback for every other transaction you have, whether, eBay does it or a buyer does it. So hopefully, the more things you sell, the less bad it looks if you get a negative. But they're not going to remove them anymore like we've talked about in the past. Whereas, as long as they open a return, you get it back, you give them a refund, and eBay just magically took that feedback away. They're not doing that anymore. Unless the buyer's feedback breaks policy, it's not going to go away anymore.
When you get a negative or neutral feedback and you're typing a response up, Put it in your head that you are not responding to that buyer. You're responding to the next buyer that comes along that decides they want to look at your feedback. You have to
Keep it professional.
keep it professional, but make sure that you cover the issues and explain why you were not in the wrong and that the buyer was in the wrong without being obnoxiously rude about it like some people over here would want to be. I want to be that way, but you're literally responding to future buyers, not this person that you have already probably blocked at this point.
I swear, I'll say this 100 times. Feedback at this point is extortion. Most buyers don't ever contact us. They leave it hoping that new sellers, people with low feedback, are going to contact them and ask them, if I give you a refund, will you remove the feedback? So I'm just not even going to mention returns anymore. Not at all.
On our news store, we have 19 feedback. So if the next person comes along and leaves us a negative, we're at 95%. That's what new sellers are facing. And you all probably have seen this. And you've been stuck in that situation, at least some of you have, where you don't have a lot of feedback. You're getting an unfair negative. And you want to just like, okay, I'll pay $20 to not have this on my record because now I'm at 95%, not 100%. So hopefully this new feedback system that eBay's put in place where you're going to get feedback for every sale is going to not damage your, he's going to balance it out so that you're not damaged the way
by one
negative feedback.
Lee Riders women's 14 petite jeans sold for $12.51. Fisher Price Puffalumps Christmas Mouse plush sold for $17.95. Buyer's Choice. Not something I find very often around here. And when I do see them, like at estate sales, they've got them priced ridiculous. But this was actually a bins save. I can't imagine if it had been in the bins much longer that it would have survived. But this is one of the carolers, and it sold very quickly for $12.10. Good Stuff. You know, I could pick up a lot of character plush in that brand, but this was just too cute. A little Christmas bear with the bunny feet sold for $10. These have been listed forever. I remember picking them up at a yard sale. I want to say $3 a long time ago. But they were Levi's, but they were like, you know, polyester pants. But they were Levi's. They were called Wildfire Sportswear. I had, you know, at first I think I had them listed for like $150. And then I've slowly over the years reduced the price. As you can see, the latest one was $89.95. And I got an offer for $59. And it was just, it's time. It's been listed forever. $59 for a pair of pants. You know, that's excellent for us. Susan Graver women's jacket. You know what? I don't remember where I picked these up. This could have been, you know, there was a yard sale. I bought a bunch of Susan Graver stuff. They were $1 or a fill a bag. But this person ended up buying 2 of these from me. This jacket sold for $25, and then I actually had another one, and they've got the, I think, QVC paper tags on them. They were never worn. And this one also sold for $25, so $50 for the 2 jackets. And then this Nature Conservancy Sandhill Crane plush, still in its original packaging, sold for $19. My Folkmanis Donkey Hand Puppet plush that I picked up at an estate sale. I want to say I paid $5 for it and listed it in April. I got a $50 offer on it. And, you know, I just thought, you know, that would be ridiculous not to take $50 on a plush that's been listed for 5 months. You know, make it gone. Make it gone. So I did. All right, decor. I don't find these very often. They are called Potbelly Plush. This one is the bear. They come in different sizes. I think there's like a 12-inch, a 17-inch. I think there's even a larger one. This one sold for $40. Lots of entire dollar plus, y'all, in these 4 days. This was a Fisher Price loving family, just hodgepodge furniture lot, and it sold for $30. Manhattan toy striped bear plush sold for $10. Plastic train tracks. I never could figure out what they went to. They were just too generic looking, no markings. So it took a very long time for these to sell, but they sold for the sale price, $23.35. Coffee cups. I've got tons. I really need to be more particular with them, to be honest with myself. But I like picking them up. This Mardi Gras one sold for $12.95. My first of the 14 Tyco kitty kitten puppies bunnies that I picked up all for $1 each at an estate sale. The most raggedy one sold first. It was rough looking, but collectors don't care. Collectors do not care. I mean, this was the one that I listed the least, and I sold it probably in about 5 days for $30. But I have some that are listed all the way up to like $100. But I've already made all my money back. Fiesta Jumbo Red Panda Plush, 32 inches long, sold for an offer of $45. And last but not least, White House Black Market pink tank top sold for $10.27. And then let me show you the 5 that sold in the other store. First item that sold were these Talbots high waist straight leg corduroy pants, and they sold for a best offer of $16. Y'all, I just transferred that morning this item from my store to the new store. And now how I'm doing that is everything that I have listed is in my List Perfectly catalog.
We keep the main store open in Google. Chrome and operate it from there, and we could use the List Perfectly extension. The new store where we have all the clothes, we keep that open in the Brave browser, which is built on Chromium like Chrome is, and it will also run the List Perfectly extension. So we keep that store open in there. That way we don't have to, inside of Chrome, log in, log out of each store. It just keeps it simpler. We can stay logged into both stores at the same time.
So I just ended in my store, then I go to Brave. I go into List Perfectly on that browser, find that item, and then I just cross-list it to the new store. Easy peasy. Just make sure you're ending it and deleting the unsolds once you've got them transferred over, because that would be a mess if you have them listed in 2 different stores. But I had just done that, just cross-listed this item that morning. It had been in the other store for, I want to say, 2 years at $5 more. So $29.68. All the things that I'm transferring over, if they've been listed a while, I'm tweaking them. I'm lowering their prices. I'm rechecking comps. And this one sold same day I listed it for $24.68. Then I sold these Levi's 569 jeans for $15. This Ralph Lauren men's polo shirt for $15. And last but not least, these American Eagle women's boot jeans sold for $14. All right, I wished sales were better. Hopefully whatever eBay's doing in the background is going to, be done soon and start bumping all of us up again as far as getting more solds. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm still doing my end and sell similar. I'm running sales. I'm sending offers. I'm, considering most offers and, and listing every single day. So, all right, y'all. Time to get to work. Bye.